And we are back here on PlayStation LiveCast. We are streaming live from PlayStation Experience in the heart of San Francisco. Thousands and thousands and thousands of fans here have packed the Moscone West Center, and it is a sight to see. It really has been a huge show for us. The keynote's just been over for a few minutes. We've got live interviews, demos, panels all day long. And actually, speaking of that, right now, we've got Robert Cogburn. You're the lead designer on Uncharted 4 multiplayer.
Correct.
And that beta is out right now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You have Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection on PS4. You have full access to that beta. Now, when does that beta end, Robert?
That beta is going to end December 13th.
Okay, so we got a couple days here.
Absolutely.
This isn't going to end tomorrow or anything, so there's still time. If you want to pick up the game, pick up the Nathan Drake collection, you'll get access to this beta. And how's the beta going so far? What's the reception?
Man, we are so pleased with the overall results of how the beta is going so far. We've had great engagement. The community has been very, very clear on the type of things they want us to start tuning. One of the goals from the beta was to just get data. That's why the beta is so rich with content.
It's a true beta.
It's a true beta. We're really looking to dial in and get the game as balanced as possible.
That's great. Now, I was telling you about this backstage, but I am a tremendous fan of, of course, Naughty Dog, and of course, The Last of Us.
Right on.
But especially, I loved The Last of Us multiplayer. I was telling you about that, and I know you didn't really work too much on that. You were actually working on the single-player side a little more than anything.
Correct.
But boy, oh boy, was that multiplayer mode in The Last of Us incredible. It's such an underappreciated classic, and it's got incredible longevity. And word on the street is that the Uncharted 4 team, when it comes to multiplayer, maybe a couple of the learnings from The Last of Us might have crept in there. So I'm kind of curious as to your take on that.
Absolutely. You know, the Uncharted 4 multiplayer is a culmination of lessons we've learned from all the multiplayer experiences we've created. And in particularly The Last of Us. I mean, in The Last of Us, as you know, it really has a high emphasis on teamwork.
Yeah.
Going lone wolf in that game is challenging.
Oh, yeah.
And teamwork is something that we sort of considered as being one of the main pillars for our game as we were through development for U4MP. And The Last of Us, with its in-game store system, its revive system, just the tactical depth you can get with the 25-point or with the loadout system that it has, we really gravitated towards those ideas, not only because they help us balance the game, but because of all the things that it does for us to just facilitate teamwork.
Now, I understand we have gameplay footage of multiplayer. I think we're seeing the trailer that was revealed here during the keynote. If we do get the gameplay footage, we can check that out in a little bit.
Sure.
But in the meantime, I know there's a lot of interesting wrinkles when it comes to multiplayer for Uncharted 4, and one of those wrinkles are the sidekicks. This is a really interesting one. These are the characters that you can sort of summon into the environment to kind of help you out. So tell me a little bit about how these sidekicks work.
Yeah, so sidekicks sort of derived from the idea of us wanting to carry as much of the pulp action adventure genre that it's known for. And sidekicks sort of fell into place for that. Typically, when you have a hero in that genre, they have a sidekick. And sidekicks sort of, in that genre, fulfill certain roles. And so the sidekicks for Uncharted 4 multiplayer, there are a couple of types. We have a brute, which is puts out a lot of heavy firepower, can take a lot of damage. We have a sniper that you can throw out to defend a position. We have a hunter that tracks down the nearest enemy. And then we have a savior. And the way the savior works is that it'll revive you and your teammates or give you and your teammates ammo. And you know, it's really interesting to see these things as they fulfill their roles sort of escalate the feeling of a battle over time. They really add a level of richness to the experience that you don't find in a lot of other games.
Now, another thing I know that really sets Uncharted 4's multiplayer side apart is these mystics. And these are really callbacks to some very famous or even infamous artifacts that have been scattered throughout the different Uncharted games. So tell me a little bit about how mystics kind of complete your arsenal.
Yeah, mysticals are items that span the entire Uncharted universe. And given that this was, or will be, the last Uncharted game Naughty Dog's going to make.
Here we go. This is what I'm looking for, yeah.
We wanted a high level of fan service. And the Mysticals give us the opportunity to leverage aspects across the Uncharted universe and introduce really rich elements of gameplay. So you'll see things like the sarcophagus of El Dorado from Uncharted Drake's Fortune in there.
Yep.
You'll see the Chintamani Stone from Uncharted 2. You'll be able to leverage the spirit of the Jinn from Uncharted 3. And we have a couple of other mysticals that span the books, the comic books, the motion comic book. They really add an element that sort of facilitates the feeling of high adventure. Throughout the course of development, we were aiming to create things that could sort of elevate the Uncharted experience that people are known for, and mysticals sort of derived from that idea.
So we're seeing this gameplay footage right now, and I know you guys have a luscious frame rate. It's targeting 60 frames per second. Very, very smooth. We can see that in action right now, and boy, is that a great feel to a multiplayer game.
Absolutely. It's a critical experience now in any competitive multiplayer shooter. The 60 frames a second, we've been getting a lot of feedback from the beta that the feeling of the game is fast and fluid, and a key attribute to that is the 60 frames a second that we've achieved. The game looks fantastic and feels fantastic.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the character customization, because the last time there's been, with Uncharted 3's multiplayer, that was a huge part of it.
Correct.
How are you guys coming at customization in Uncharted 4's multiplayer?
Well, with the intention of us really trying to leverage this as a castaway for Uncharted, we've backed up from the level of customization we've had in the past, and instead we've brought in a wide variety of characters spanning the universe.
I get it.
And all those characters will have unique outfits made specifically for them, and you'll be able to unlock those outfits as you're playing the game.
Very cool. And we're seeing some good action here. We just saw, I think, the El Dorado mystical, which was kind of like almost fire swarms of homing rockets almost to kind of fry enemies. Tell me about how some of these mysticals actually work, like what the effects are.
Sure. So the Wrath of El Dorado in particular, one of the things we realized seeing high level of competitive play in Uncharted was that people would just hunker down in a location. So the purpose of the Wrath of El Dorado is to push people out of their positions. So in the moment-to-moment of Uncharted 4 multiplayer, we really tried to emphasize fronts, two teams fighting against each other.
Very much like The Last of Us, I must point out. One of my favorite elements of that game.
And with fronts, it really carries teamwork, right?
Yeah.
And so when you get someone throwing out the Wrath of El Dorado to push a team out, and then someone activates the Spirit of the Jinn, which lets them teleport quickly across the map to chase the team and take them out, you're really seeing these mysticals get synergy between each other. One of the other mysticals is the Chintamani Stone, and the way that works is you can activate it on your teammates when they're in the down state, and it has this area of effect, so you can revive multiple teammates at one time.
Nice.
And it revives them to full health. Another mystical we have is the Staff of Aramanco, and super fans will know this. This is from the Uncharted book, and the way this works is when you throw it into the battlefield, it reveals enemies on radar. And the last one we have, which we've taken a little bit of liberty with, is Indra's Eternity from the motion comic book that came out post-Uncharted 2. And the way this works is that when a player throws it out into the battlefield, it creates an area of effect that slows down time. So anyone inside of it gets slowed down.
It's great. Game's looking really good. I'm having a hard time focusing on you because I'm staring at it. But another thing that's real interesting about this is that we just saw it in action just there a second ago, Grappling Hook.
Yeah.
Grappling Hook in full effect in multiplayer for Uncharted 4.
Absolutely.
It's in the beta right now. Tell me a little bit about the pros and cons, let's say, of using the Grappling Hook in a multiplayer environment.
Well, the pros of the Grappling Hook are just the maneuverability it gives us across the space. One of the things that we've tried to emphasize when it comes to creating fronts is that we create spaces that let teams sort of coordinate and move together. And with the Grappling Hook, that lets you traverse those environments real quick, which is a huge win for us. Aside from that, it gives us a lot of tactical consideration in the space. For example, you could be facing one team on the front, and you can jump out and rope across this big pillar and come out and flank them. Additionally, one of the weak points we saw with the previous Uncharted games was melee. And what we've revamped the melee system a little bit, and the Grappling Hook allows us to introduce a one-hit charge melee. And so you get a lot of dynamics going on with the melee, especially now that we fixed roll being able to avoid melee as well. So the Grappling Hook has been huge for us. We can't wait to share in the future some of the additional things that we'll be doing with it.
It's not without its risks, though, right? I mean, could you use it improperly and put yourself in a bad position?
Oh, absolutely. The great thing about the Grappling Hook as it is that it has an incredible level of player agency. It's not sort of jump and you're immediately teleported over. You have full control of the rope as you're swinging around.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So, so far on the weapons front, I'm seeing a lot of familiar weapons, but I'm sure you guys got some new ones. What's your personal go-to loadout on the?
Oh man, currently I'd have to say my favorite is the scoped auto rifle, and then on top of that, I'd probably have to throw the Raffica, which is a 3-round burst. Those two guns in combination let you deal with mid to long really well. and the Raffica generally works out pretty well at close range too.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're hearing from the beta and what has the feedback been so far. I mean, people like it, I know, but you know, you guys are always listening. Naughty Dog, famous for taking in fan feedback. Is there anything particularly that you're hearing from the players?
Overall, the game's been a smashing success.
That's great.
We're getting some feedback here and there about the mysticals. People are really enjoying how the mysticals are panning out. People absolutely love the rope. The feel of the game is something they really dialed in. No doubt we're getting feedback on the sidekicks that varies, but we're totally listening to it, and we're going to have some tuning coming in next week that's going to address some of those issues.
I mean, that's why you have a beta, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep. It's really cool, though. It definitely does not feel like you guys are on autopilot in any way with this multiplayer mode. I mean, this is I always felt Uncharted had huge potential. I really liked Uncharted 3's multiplayer.
Right on.
But this one, I think, is where it kind of culminates. Like, I think it's all coming together. Like you mentioned, all those lessons learned, all those experiences from The Last of Us multiplayer, which really kind of came out of nowhere, I think, for a lot of people. And I'm seeing it here. The game is looking stellar. And I mean, you guys got to be working your butts off here.
You know, the game's coming out March 18th. We're marching to the beat of the game development drum right now.
Yeah.
We're also putting out patches as often as possible for multiplayer. We have a variety of issues that we're going to be tackling day to day. And it's the feedback from the people that are playing that's been the most important for us to actually get there.
Right there. That reminds me of The Last of Us, what I just saw right there. The pegging guys that are down. It's so fun, though, because, see, this is what I loved about The Last of Us, and I could tell I'm going to love about Uncharted, is when a guy goes down, you're tempted to run out and get to him, right?
Yeah.
He becomes a form of mobile bait.
Sure.
So you can take somebody down and kind of sit there and wait and see if his teammates will come for him.
Absolutely.
And it introduces this incredible dynamic that's just so fun and so suspenseful. So I think just sitting here doing this segment with you, I haven't had a chance to play the beta. I'm too busy here dealing with this PlayStation Experience stuff. But I got to get out of here so I can get home and play this thing tonight, because this is looking right up my alley. I think you made the perfect game for me. So
we should party up as soon as you get home.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Roger, thank you so much for joining us here at PlayStation Experience. Obviously, the Uncharted 4 multiplayer beta is live. If you've got Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, you can play it right now. There's no reason to wait. It's totally free as long as you have Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. Robert, so good to have you. Coming up next, we have Dying Light. Has a big update. It's Dying Light the following. Stay with us.
PlayStation